Tonight, let your mind drift backward, not just thousands or millions of years, but into a realm so ancient that even the dinosaurs had not yet been imagined by nature, a time when Earth belonged almost entirely to the ocean, when the world was not ruled by reptiles of the land, nor by birds of the sky, but by titans of the deep, graceful, terrifying, and impossibly strange. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. The continents are unrecognizable, fused into supercontinents or scattered as lonely islands adrift in a global sea. The air is thick with unfamiliar chemistry, the sky dim with volcanic haze, and beneath the surface, an empire of monsters moves in near silence. These are not the creatures you're used to, no Tyrannosaurus, no Triceratops, no raptors sprinting through prehistoric forests. These rulers came long before. Some had jaws longer than a human body. Some had eyes the size of dinner plates designed to see through eternal twilight. Some propelled themselves with wings of cartilage, slicing through water with the precision of living torpedoes. And some were simply nightmares given flesh. In this quiet world, before trees reached the sky, before flowers existed, before the very first dinosaur hatched from an egg, the oceans were a stage for battles older than history itself. Titan sea scorpions hunted early fish across murky reefs. Ammonites spiraled through the depths like armored stars. Giant predatory sharks stalked the dark like shadows carved from fear. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the soft thrum of water moving past ancient fins, the distant clicking of armored plates meeting the tides, and the slow, echoing heartbeat of a world just beginning to understand what life could become. So tonight, let us drift into this forgotten ocean. Let us sink gently beneath the waves, leaving the modern world behind, as we explore the deadly and mesmerizing age of sea monsters that dominated Earth long before dinosaurs walked the land. Welcome to a time of titans, a time of fear and beauty, a time almost lost to the tides of memory. Welcome to the ancient ocean. Chapter 1. Before the dinosaurs. Earth's forgotten ocean world. Before the first dinosaur ever pressed its foot into soft mud. Before pterosaurs glided across ancient skies. Before forests rose into towering cathedrals of green. The world was ruled by one kingdom only, the ocean. And in that ocean existed a realm so strange, so distant, so utterly alien, that even imagination struggles to reach it. To drift back into this world, simply breathe slowly and picture the Earth as it was 500 million years ago. The continents were not the shapes we know today. There was no Asia, no North America, no Africa, stretching across latitudes. Instead, fractured landmasses wandered like lonely stones scattered across an endless water world. Many of them were barren slabs of lifeless rock, scorched by relentless sun and battered by winds, unsoftened by vegetation. Nothing walked the land, nothing crawled, nothing swayed. The silence above the water was absolute. But below the surface, everything changed. The oceans of this ancient world were warm, shallow, and alive with possibility. They shimmered with dissolved minerals and nutrients released by volcanic ridges, underwater vents, and the slow weathering of newborn mountains. These nutrient-rich waters created the perfect cradle for life to expand, flourish, and experiment. Yet life then did not resemble anything we know. There were no fish scales catching the light, no fins slicing through the blue, no bones, no jaws, no shells, at least not yet. Instead, the ocean floor was a soft mosaic of simple creatures, worm-like bodies, gelatinous swimmers, and drifting colonies of cells, still exploring the idea of cooperation. Imagine descending into that world. The water is warmer than expected, like a shallow tropical sea. Below you, fields of bacterial mats ripple across sediment, glowing faintly with muted greens and blues, early photosynthesizers breathing oxygen into a world that still did not know what to do with it. Small, ribbon-thin organisms slip in and out of the sand, leaving tiny trails behind them like strokes of fragile calligraphy. Nothing moves quickly. Nothing is loud. Nothing is fully certain of what it will become. Evolution is relaxed here, almost sleepy, as if still half dreaming. But this peaceful ancient sea holds something powerful, potential. Life is learning, testing, adjusting. Every day is a new experiment, and the ocean is the laboratory. Drift deeper. The water darkens. Shapes begin to shift. Some early creatures float like wisps of pale smoke, their bodies translucent and ghostly. Others crawl across the seafloor using soft lobes instead of legs. Here and there, small clusters of organisms pulse together, coordinating movement, a hint that specialization and teamwork may offer survival advantages. At this time, oxygen is just beginning to accumulate in the seas. The chemistry of the water changes slowly, influencing how organisms breathe, grow, and adapt. Some species thrive and divide rapidly. Others vanish almost instantly, becoming evolutionary dead ends, erased with hardly a trace. Still, something is building beneath the gentle tides. A quiet pressure, an evolutionary momentum that will soon erupt in a burst of creativity unlike anything the planet has ever seen. But before that explosion, before predators, before armor, before the jaws that would one day shape ecosystems, this early ocean world remained a place of softness, a place where life existed without fear, because fear had not yet been invented. Picture a coastline from this era. Sharp cliffs plunging into restless water. No plants, no sand dunes, no birds soaring overhead. Only stark stone and shimmering blue stretching to the horizon. Storms would sweep across these young seas with violent drama, lightning piercing the surface, winds sending towering waves crashing against bare rock. Every storm stirred the shallows, mixing nutrients and giving primitive organisms their daily feast. In these tidal flats and lagoon-like pools, some of the earliest complex life forms gathered. Thin, leaf-like animals clung to underwater surfaces, capturing microscopic particles drifting in the water. Long, tube-bodied creatures anchored themselves in place, waving feathery appendages like delicate underwater forests. Still, there were no eyes yet, not truly. No gaze, no awareness of predators, no concept of danger. Life existed, but it did not watch, it did not judge, it simply lived. And in this stillness, nature began preparing its first great transformation. Because while life seemed slow and peaceful, hidden forces were gathering strength. Oxygen levels continued to rise. Small genetic innovations started stacking together, forming the basis for movement, sensing, reacting, defending. Cells learned to organize into tissues. Tissues became limbs. Limbs began to push water more efficiently. Nerves formed pathways that allowed creatures to sense changes in the environment. The ocean was waking up. Let your imagination sink even deeper now, into waters untouched by sunlight, the shadowed twilight zones where soft-bodied creatures drifted like living puzzles. Some resembled flattened pancakes that glided silently through the murk. Others carried strange frills or spines, whose purpose remains mysterious even today. This was not yet a world of monsters, not yet, but the blueprints of monsters were forming. Nature, like an artist sketching her first drafts, began experimenting with designs that would eventually dominate Earth for hundreds of millions of years. Spikes, claws, segmented armor, primitive eyes capable of detecting movement. And while these early features seemed subtle, they represented a quiet revolution. For the first time in history, some organisms could notice others approaching. They could react, they could flee, and in some cases, they could attack. It is here, in this threshold between stillness and motion, between innocence and ambition, that the stage was set for what would become the world's first age of predators. The ocean was about to become dangerous. Life was about to become competitive, and the peaceful world beneath the waves was about to transform into a battleground of innovation. But before the chaos, there was calm. Before the chase, there was drifting. Before fear, there was only wonder. In this ancient, forgotten ocean world, the seeds of every future creature were planted. The tools that sharks, fish, reptiles, and even humans would one day use were being quietly invented in silence, in darkness, in water older than time itself. This was not yet the age of sea monsters, but it was where the monsters were born. Chapter 2. The Cambrian Explosion. Origin of Ocean Predators. To understand the deadly age of sea monsters, we must drift into a moment in Earth's history when life suddenly discovered ambition. The Cambrian Explosion. Koang 541 Triunam Truuk. Day. Hong Chi La Thoi Diem. Su Song Bung No. Dai La. Luk Thiet Ke Sin Hok. Thay Doi Hoan Tuan. Tao Ra. Nung Dan Ke Thay Mui. Nung Keen Luke Mui. Va Lundo Tien Trong Leech Suke Sun Mui. Imagine the world before this moment. Life was simple, almost dreamlike. Soft, slow, drifting. But at the dawn of the Cambrian, something subtle shifted. Genetics became more flexible. Oxygen levels rose. Ecosystems stabilized just enough for evolution to take risks. And when life takes risks, the results can be breathtaking. The shallow seas of the Cambrian were warm and full of nutrients swirling in gentle currents. Sunlight penetrated through the water, creating glowing coral-like gardens of sponges, strange tube creatures, and mats of algae. But lurking between these colonies were new forms, bodies with symmetry, with segmentation, with appendages, with ideas. The first innovation was vision. Before the Cambrian, sight barely existed. Life sensed only vibrations, chemicals, or primitive light. But trilobites, ancient arthropods destined to dominate oceans, for 270 million years, developed the world's first complex compound eyes. Thousands of tiny lenses created a mosaic view of the world. Shadows became shapes, movement became detectable, danger became real. And where prey evolves eyes, predators evolve the hunger to chase what they see. Enter Anomalocaris, the first true terror of the seas. Up to 1 meter long, enormous for its time, it moved with the grace of a swimming falcon. Its body was equipped with flexible flaps along its sides, allowing it to glide through water with precision. At the front of its head extended 2 long, spined appendages like serrated pincers. These arms could swing open wide, then snap shut, grabbing prey in an instant. And its mouth, a circular ring of hard plates resembling a pineapple slice, rotated and crushed anything caught between its ridges. Anomalocaris was a revolution. It could see clearly. It could swim swiftly. It could hunt intentionally. The Cambrian became its kingdom. But Anomalocaris was not the only experiment. Nature, during this explosion, was a restless creator, producing forms so strange they feel like dreams or hallucinations. Creatures like Hallucigenia, with spines on its back and legs beneath it, crawled awkwardly across the seafloor, unsure which side was truly up. Opabinia swam with 5 stalked eyes and a long retractable trunk ending in a claw. Wiwaxia wore a coat of sharp spines like a swimming hedgehog. This ecosystem was not peaceful. It was a testing ground, a cosmic brainstorming session. Life invented armor, and predators invented tools to pierce it. Prey learned to burrow, so predators learned to dig. Speed increased. Eyes sharpened. Sensory systems blossomed. Every day in the Cambrian Ocean was a quiet war. A war fought, not with sound, but with innovation. Imagine drifting above a Cambrian reef. Beneath you, trilobites scuttle in shimmering herds, their armored bodies reflecting sunlight. Worm-like creatures wiggle through patchy seaweed-like mats. Soft-bodied animals pulse like translucent ghosts. Then suddenly, a shadow slices through the blue Anomalocaris, its compound eyes gleaming like jeweled mosaics, sweeping the area for movement. A trilobite attempts to flee. It zigzags across the seafloor, kicking up silt. But it is too slow. The predator lunges. Silt spirals upward as long claws wrap around the prey, dragging it into a spinning mouth that closes like the petals of a mechanical flower. It is silent, efficient, elegant. This is the first predator-prey chase in Earth's history. The Cambrian explosion introduced the first evolutionary arms race. Every creature became a participant, whether hunter or hunted. And as these battles intensified, natural selection carved bodies into more complex forms. Little by little, the ocean filled with specialists: fast swimmers, deep burrowers, armored crawlers, filter feeders with elaborate frills, and stalkers with eyes placed perfectly for ambush. What makes the Cambrian so haunting is that these creatures were the ancestors of everything: fish, insects, crabs, birds, reptiles, mammals, even us. Their forms were prototypes, their strategies early drafts of life's long story. Before the Cambrian, life drifted. After the Cambrian, life acted. And from this great awakening, the oceans began shaping the monsters that would reign for millions of years. Let us sink into the next age where predators grew, towering armor and jaws sharpened like living blades. Chapter 3. The Rise of the Giant Sea Scorpions, Eurypterids. When the Cambrian world faded into the Ordovician and Silurian periods, the rules of survival changed again. Predators became larger, prey became faster, and ecosystems became more structured. But the throne of the ocean, and sometimes even the land, was taken by one of the most fearsome groups nature has ever created: the Eurypterids, the giant sea scorpions. These were not scorpions in the modern sense. Instead, they were part of an ancient arthropod lineage, cousins of horseshoe crabs and arachnids. Yet they possessed a presence, a design, a menace that modern creatures simply do not carry. Some species remained small, the size of a hand, but others grew to astonishing lengths: 2.5 meters, even 3 meters from claw to tail. Imagine an aquatic scorpion longer than a motorcycle, armored like a tank, and capable of slicing through water with paddle-like limbs. To picture a Eurypterid is to imagine a creature designed for dominance. Its head was broad and shield-like, its eyes positioned forward, a trait rare among early predators. Forward-facing eyes meant depth perception, the ability to judge distance, speed, and direction. This creature was built not just to survive, but to hunt. Its limbs came in pairs, each adapted for specific tasks. The front pair were powerful pincers, serrated and capable of gripping slippery prey like early fish, trilobites, or soft-bodied swimmers. Behind them, pairs of spiky walking legs clattered along the seafloor, and at the back, a pair of broad, flattened paddles acted as propellers, allowing it to surge forward in quick bursts. The ocean floor during the Silurian must have been a tense place. Picture this: a quiet lagoon, sunlight shimmering through the water. A school of early fish with armored plates glides gently over patches of algae. Tiny arthropods crawl across rippled sand. Everything seems calm. Then the sand erupts. A Eurypterid lunges upward from a hidden burrow, claws snapping shut around a startled fish. With a twist of its body, it drags its prey under, pinning it to the seafloor. Its sharp mouthparts begin tearing through armor plates with surprising speed. Silence returns, but the shadow remains. Some Eurypterids, like the monstrous Pterygotus, were apex predators of their time. They had long, powerful bodies with segmented armor, razor-like claws at the front, and large eyes with crystalline lenses that let them track prey across distances. Imagine a 2.5-meter aquatic hunter swimming straight toward you, claws spread wide, eyes glinting like polished stones. Even sharks, had they existed then, might have given these titans space. Perhaps the most eerie characteristic of Eurypterids was their ability to walk on land. They had strong limbs and a respiratory system capable of briefly surviving above the waterline. During low tide, some species likely scurried across wet beaches in search of isolated prey pools or to escape aquatic rivals. Imagine standing on a primeval coastline: no trees, no birds, no plants, only barren land. wind, and the faint roar of waves. Then, as the tide retreats, dozens of meter-long sea scorpions crawl from the water, their bodies glistening like oil, their tails dragging behind them. Their legs tap across stone in a rhythm that echoes across the empty world. For millions of years, Eurypterids thrived. They adapted to fresh waters, estuaries, reefs, deep basins, and tidal flats. Their diversity exploded. Some became streamlined swimmers. Others became bottom-walking ambushers. Others developed crushing claws. But like all rulers, their reign had limits. As fish evolved better armor, agility, and jaws, the balance shifted. New predators began appearing, creatures with backbones, internal skeletons, and more efficient movement patterns. The Eurypterids fought hard to maintain their power. They sharpened claws. They grew bigger. Some even evolved armor plates thick enough to deflect bites. But evolution was turning the page. Soon, a new dynasty of monsters would rise, armored giants with jaws so powerful they could crack through bone like dry shells. Before the ocean could become theirs, however, the age of sea scorpions reached its twilight, a fading empire washed away by time, leaving only fossils as silent echoes of their former terror. Chapter 4. Armored Titans, Placoderms, and Dunkleosteus. To drift into the Devonian seas, the age of fishes, spanning roughly 419 to 359 million years ago, is to enter a world where evolution embraced the idea of armor. It was as if nature suddenly realized that vulnerability could be reshaped into strength, and strength could be wrapped in bone, plate, and power. This era birthed the first true vertebrate warriors, creatures whose bodies were forged in the language of conflict, pressure, and survival. The most iconic of these early armored beings were the placoderms, a diverse group of fish encased in bony plates that formed helmets, shields, and natural fortresses. Before them, no vertebrate had ever worn armor. The moment placoderms appeared, the oceans shifted into a more dangerous, more strategic place. Nothing was simple anymore. Every creature needed to defend itself, or become prey to something that could bite through its soft flesh. Placoderms came in many shapes. Some were small bottom-dwellers with thick heads and slender tails. Some were bizarre, flattened, or eel-like. And then there was the giant among giants, the terror of early oceans, the creature whose name still echoes through paleontology with awe. Dunkleosteus. Imagine a living fortress, 10 meters long, over 3 metric tons, a head encased in bony plates so thick and so interlocking they resembled welded steel. Dunkleosteus was not merely protected, it was engineered. Unlike modern fish, Dunkleosteus did not possess true teeth. Instead, the edges of its jawbones formed self-sharpening blades. With each bite, the plates slid against one another like honed metal edges, carving themselves sharper and sharper. These jaws were not just strong, they were catastrophic. Calculations estimate that Dunkleosteus could exert over 4,000 pounds per square inch, equivalent to the bite force of a saltwater crocodile, but delivered with twice the speed. Imagine drifting through a Devonian reef, your vision shimmering with the flicker of ancient corals. Small armored fish dart between stems of primitive sea plants. Trilobites scuttle across the sea floor like moving jewels. And then the water dims. A shadow passes overhead. Dunkleosteus. It moves with heavy grace, its armored skull shimmering faintly in the filtered sunlight. Its tail sways in muscular arcs, propelling its massive frame through the water. It does not need to hide. It does not need to rush. Every creature knows what it is. Every creature feels the shift of the water as it glides past. Suddenly, it opens its jaw, and something astonishing happens. Due to a unique 4-bar linkage mechanism, its jaws open in a rapid snap, creating instantaneous suction. Water rushes in. A hapless fish disappears into its mouth. Before the prey even understands that a predator is near, Dunkleosteus's jaws close. slicing through armor, bone, and muscle in one decisive movement. Its efficiency is chilling. Its presence is absolute. But Dunkleosteus was not alone. Other placoderms filled different environmental roles. Some grazed on the seafloor, some lurked in murky shallows, and some hunted smaller fish with speed rather than brute force. Yet the entire group shared one thing: a commitment to armor as a way of life. Why armor? Why now? The answer lies in a quiet truth of evolution. When predators grow more effective, prey must adapt fast. And when prey becomes better defended, predators must evolve even more powerful tools. This was the ocean's first great arms race. Placoderms turned the ancient seas into battlegrounds of innovation. They introduced jaws. They introduced biting. They introduced strategies that required speed, planning, and strength. The Devonian oceans were alive with conflict, but also with creativity. Evolution was learning how to sculpt power, yet even giants can fall. Around 360 million years ago, a series of environmental crises struck: oxygen depletion, climate change, collapsing reefs. The late Devonian extinction erased almost all placoderms, including the mighty Dunkleosteus. Their reign lasted nearly 70 million years, but when it ended completely. Their disappearance left the oceans open, a vacancy at the top of the food chain, a throne waiting to be claimed. And in the dim, quiet zones below the surface, an entirely different kind of predator had been waiting silently, sharpening the skills that would one day define the oceans for hundreds of millions of years. Let's drift into that darkness now and meet the earliest sharks. Chapter 5. Life in the shadow zones. Early sharks emerge. While the armored placoderms clashed in bright, shallow waters, something quieter, something more elegant was unfolding in the deeper, shadowed realms below. Here, in zones where the sun's touch was faint and fleeting, another design philosophy was taking shape. Instead of armor, these creatures chose flexibility. Instead of brute strength, they chose precision. Instead of bulk, they chose grace. These were the world's first sharks, not the titanic monsters of later ages, not the sleek hunters of modern seas, but the small, streamlined pioneers who would eventually define 400 million years of marine evolution. Sharks began their story with a simple idea: a body made not of heavy bone, but of lightweight cartilage. This single innovation changed everything. Cartilage allowed faster turns, greater speed, less energy expenditure, and smoother movement through water. It meant they could move like shadows, like whispers, like ideas. One of the earliest and most successful was Cladocelacae, a shark about 2 meters long. Sleek, torpedo-shaped, and agile, it lacked the menacing teeth of its later descendants. Its jaws were lined with simple, leaf-shaped teeth, perfect for slicing soft prey. Instead of relying on armor, Cladocelacae relied on speed, maneuverability, precision, and alertness. Imagine drifting in twilight water, somewhere between light and darkness. A school of early fish glides calmly in the dim blue. Suddenly, the entire school shivers. Something passes through them, not with brute force, but with astonishing elegance. A silver streak, a blur. Cladocelacae strikes and vanishes, its prey gone before neighboring fish even react. This was a new kind of predator. Not a fortress, but a blade. Not a tank, but a dancer. But not all early sharks were sleek. Some were bizarre living experiments in body design. None more unusual than Stethocanthus, the so-called anvil shark. On its back stood a strange, flat structure, like a raised platform covered in tiny, rough denticles. Its head bore additional patches of textured tissue, turning its silhouette into a floating sculpture. What was its purpose? Scientists propose many theories. A display for attracting mate self, a visual warning to rivals rementer, a surface for pheromone release, a defensive structure, or simply a feature of sexual selection. Whatever its function, Stethocanthus moved through the water like a creature from another reality, part shark, part alien relic. As we drift through carboniferous seas, the sharks grow larger. Some reach 4 meters, then 6, then 8. Their teeth diversify. Serrated edges, crushing molar-like forms, needle-sharp points for piercing armored prey. Evolution was teaching sharks how to become perfect hunters, and they were listening intently. What made sharks so enduring? Why did they survive extinction after extinction? Because their design was timeless. Cartilage skeletons made them fast. Continuously replaced teeth made them efficient. Electroreception, in early forms, made them perceptive, and flexible bodies made them masters of unpredictable movement. While the mighty placoderms went extinct, sharks survived. While reefs collapsed, sharks adapted. While oxygen dropped, sharks persisted. They were durable, but also elegant. Ancient, but always evolving. Predators, but also artists of motion. Yet amid all this predatory innovation, another type of ocean being was rising, not a hunter, but a drifting, graceful architect of spirals and chambers. A creature not built for violence, but for endurance and beauty. Let us drift toward the Ammonites. Chapter 6. Ammonites, the armored stars of the sea. Not all ancient sea rulers conquered with claws or teeth. Some ruled through quiet persistence, through beauty, buoyancy, and balance. Among the most iconic of these were the Ammonites, the spiraling cephalopods, whose shells still glimmer in stone, millions of years after their extinction. To see an Ammonite today is to hold a piece of ancient geometry. To see one alive in its time would have been to witness one of the great masterpieces of early marine evolution. Ammonites were relatives of modern octopuses, squids, and cuttlefish. Yet, unlike their modern cousins, they carried with them a rigid, spiraled shell divided into chambers. Each chamber could be filled with gas or drained of it, allowing the ammonite to rise or sink through the water with a precision that almost seems mechanical. Imagine drifting through a Paleozoic sea. You pass through a calm region where the water becomes clearer, and sunlight filters down in pale green beams. In the quiet, you see dozens, sometimes hundreds of ammonites rising and falling like drifting stars. Their shells reflect the sunlight in iridescent flashes: gold, emerald, violet, blue. No two are perfectly alike. Some are smooth as polished marble. Others are ribbed or covered in spines that deter predators. Their shapes vary: too tightly coiled spirals, gently curved arcs, even exotic, asymmetrical forms. Their tentacles, small, delicate, and numerous, extend from the shell opening, sensing the water, searching for prey. Small crustaceans, plankton, drifting larvae. Their eyes, large and expressive, scan the dim world with awareness far beyond what their simple prey can comprehend. They are not fast. They are not armored in the traditional sense, but they are resilient. Ammonites survived multiple mass extinctions. When reefs collapsed, they endured. When ocean chemistry changed, they adapted. Their designs shifted across millions of years, echoing the slow pulse of deep time. Some ammonites grew large enough for a human to curl up inside. Others were the size of a fingernail. Their diversity was staggering. Ammonites shaped ecosystems in subtle but profound ways. They were prey for the first marine reptiles, important predators of smaller mollusks, drivers of cephalopod intelligence, markers of oceanic change. They were both fragile and fragile, because they relied on delicate environmental balances. Strong, because their lineage lasted over 300 million years. To drift among them would have felt like drifting through a cosmic ballet, a quiet waltz of spirals rising and falling with the rhythm of ancient tides. Yet even these graceful beings lived with danger. Sharks, reptiles, and other cephalopods hunted them relentlessly. Some ammonites responded by developing thickened shells, reinforced ribs, or spines like underwater crowns. Others embraced speed, sacrificing weight for agility. But time is ruthless, and even the stars of the sea cannot shine forever. Though Ammonites survived nearly everything Earth threw at them, the final blow, the same asteroid impact that ended the age of dinosaurs, finally extinguished them. The oceans dimmed without them. But in the era we explore now, Ammonites are vibrant, countless, and serene, drifting like galaxies in the great ancient sea. Chapter 7. The Devonian Nightmare. The first mass marine extinction. To drift into the closing chapters of the Devonian period around 375 million years ago is to feel the ocean holding its breath. The great reefs shimmer quietly. Schools of armored fish move in slow, rhythmic waves. Ammonites float like drifting lanterns. Placoderms prowl with confidence, believing themselves eternal. But something is wrong. The water is too still, too warm in places, too murky in others. Life senses change long before humans ever could, and if we could listen to these ancient seas with primordial intuition, we would hear a subtle warning, a quiet, gathering tension, like the pressure before a storm. The Devonian oceans are about to experience the first world-shaping catastrophe in vertebrate history, a disaster scientists now call the Late Devonian Mass Extinction, a collapse so profound that it erased 75% of all marine species and changed the direction of evolution forever. But extinction does not come in a single moment. It arrives softly at first, disguised as ordinary discomfort, a small shift in temperature, a slight change in oxygen levels, a subtle imbalance in the water chemistry. It begins with the reefs. The Devonian world is famous for its colossal reef systems, vast limestone cities built by ancient sponges, corals, and algae. These reefs were so extensive, they rivaled modern Australia's Great Barrier Reef. They housed thousands of species, provided nurseries for young fish, and anchored entire ecosystems. But volcanic eruptions far away, massive, sustained, relentless, begin releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Weathering continents pour nutrients into the sea. Runoff feeds algal blooms. Blooms decay. Decay consumes oxygen. Slowly, the ocean suffocates. We drift into a region once teeming with life. Now, fish swim sluggishly, rising to the surface as oxygen dwindles. Trilobites gather in desperate clusters. Even Dunkleosteus, mighty and unchallenged, feels the strain. It moves less gracefully now, conserving energy. Its gills flare more urgently. The water grows darker, not from predators, but from death. Scientists call this phase global anoxia, the ocean losing oxygen on a planetary scale. But to the creatures living through it, it must have felt like the sea itself was turning against them. Imagine drifting down to the sea floor. Where once corals built towering structures, now lie bleached skeletons and fuzzy mats of decaying algae. Sediments grow black with sulfur compounds. Worms rise to the surface, trying to escape toxic layers. Tiny shellfish float lifeless in the water. The collapse is not instantaneous. It comes in waves, separated by thousands, even millions of years. A pulse of volcanic activity. A pulse of oxygen loss, a brief recovery, another pulse, and another, each pulse more devastating than the last. Species shrink, diversity retreats, food chains fail, reefs vanish. The Devonian fish, once abundant and varied, collapse. The placoderms, the armored titans, suffer the most. Their bodies are heavy, their metabolisms high, their oxygen demand enormous. They cannot adapt quickly. In some areas, entire local populations disappear overnight. In others, they dwindle to a handful. Finally, around 360 million years ago, the last placoderms succumb. Dunkleosteus, apex predator, armored monarch, disappears from the fossil record. The throne of the ocean is empty again. But extinction, though tragic, is also a sculptor. When old empires fall, new possibilities emerge. The Devonian nightmare opens the door to a new era, an ocean waiting to be repopulated, rebuilt, and redesigned. From the silence left behind, new creatures rise: sharks, ammonites, ray-finned fish, and later, the first marine reptiles. But for now, the world rests in quiet ruin. The ocean sleeps beneath a heavy blanket of stillness, waiting for the breath of life to return. Extinction marks an end, and a beginning. Chapter 8. The Carboniferous Seas, New Monsters Rise. When the Devonian nightmare finally subsides, the oceans of the early Carboniferous period awaken like a convalescent slowly opening their eyes. The waters are calmer, the climate stabilizes, sunlight filters through clearer tides, and in this renewed world, life begins rebuilding from the fragments that survived. The reefs are gone, the armored placoderms are gone, many trilobites are gone too, but what remains is enough to seed a stunning revival. We descend into shallow tropical waters of the early Carboniferous. Beneath us, the seafloor glitters with early limestone deposits, new foundations for ecosystems to stand upon. Tiny crustaceans scatter like flecks of silver. Worms weave delicate patterns in the sediment, and above them, schools of early bony fish move with renewed vitality. In the absence of the heavy armored placoderms, new lineages once overshadowed now bloom rapidly. Among the most successful are the ray-finned fish, ancestors of nearly all modern fish. Their fins are flexible, their bodies light, their shapes diverse, the opposite of the bulky, slow-moving placoderms. Ray-finned fish bring elegance where brute force once ruled. But not all is peaceful. The extinction left behind many empty ecological spaces, roles waiting to be filled by ambitious predators. And evolution wastes no opportunities. Enter the sharks. Freed from competition, sharks diversify into forms more bizarre, more efficient, and sometimes more terrifying than ever before. Some Carboniferous sharks grow elongated dorsal fins shaped like sails. Others develop intricate teeth arranged in spirals or shearing blades. Some become slow ambush predators lurking in dark swamps. Others become open ocean sprinters, capable of bursts of shocking speed. One such shark, Edestus, evolves a jaw unlike anything the world has seen. Long, curved blades of teeth, arranged like enormous scissors. Its upper and lower jaws slice past each other in scissor-like motion, allowing Edestus to shear prey cleanly in half. Another species, the ancestor of the later Helicoprion, begins experimenting with circular tooth hauls. These early hauls will eventually become biological buzzsaws. Carboniferous seas also host incredible diversity in non-shark predators. Early holocephalans, ancestors of modern chimeras, glide with wing-like fins. Crinoids form underwater meadows, waving like forests in the current. Ammonites continue flourishing, drifting like galaxies beneath the waves. Diving deeper, we encounter large, strange creatures dominating brackish estuaries and coastal swamps. Among them are the last survivors of the Eurypterids, the sea scorpions. Though nowhere near the size of their Silurian ancestors, they still patrol murky shallows with unsettling presence. Picture a shallow Carboniferous swamp. The water is tea-colored, rich with decayed plant matter. Tall lycopod trees rise from the background. Between their roots, an Eurypterid lurks, its dark carapace blending into the silt. A small fish swims too near, and in a flash, serrated pincers snap shut. Life in the Carboniferous does not just adapt, it innovates. This era also sees the rise of early cartilaginous oddities, sharks with spiral teeth, enormous dorsal fins, bizarre head shapes, elongated bodies, crushing dental plates. Yet amid this frenzy of innovation, the ocean remains calm, stable. It is a world rebuilding itself with creativity rather than chaos. Above the water, forests of giant ferns and club mosses trap carbon, cooling the planet. Below, growing coral mounds and carbonate deposits create new habitats. It is in these calm seas, under renewed sunlight, that one of the most extraordinary predators in Earth's history takes shape: A creature whose jaw will become a symbol of prehistoric mystery. A creature whose teeth form a spiral. A creature whose bite cuts like a saw. Let us drift forward to meet it. Chapter 9: Tidal Titans. The reign of Helicoprion. If the Carboniferous was an era of experimentation, the Permian that followed from about 299 to 252 million years ago was an age of refinement. Evolution took bold ideas and perfected them. Some creatures grew larger, others became more specialized. But few innovations were as astonishing or as perplexing as the one crafted inside the mouth of Helicoprion. Helicoprion was not a shark in the modern sense, but a close relative within the broader cartilaginous family. Its skeleton was flexible, its movements serpentine, and its hunting style uniquely adapted to the world of the Permian seas. But what defined Helicoprion, what turned it into a legend, was not its size, nor its speed, nor its habitat. It was its tooth spiral. Imagine opening the mouth of a predator and finding not rows of teeth, but a single, continuous coil, a circular saw of serrated blades, each tooth stacked behind the next in a spiraling formation. For over a century after its discovery, scientists debated where this spiral even belonged. Was it in the nose, the throat, the snout? Only in recent years did detailed fossil analysis confirm its true location. The spiral sat inside the lower jaw. As Helicoprion bit, the tooth hole rotated forward, slicing prey into clean ribbons. Let us drift into a Permian sea and watch it hunt. The water is warm and dark, filled with small fish and soft-bodied cephalopods. A large shadow moves beneath us, long and slender, shaped like an eel but swimming with the smooth precision of a shark. Its tail flicks in rhythmic waves. This is Helicoprion. Its eyes glimmer faintly. It senses the electric fields of nearby prey. A school of squid-like creatures pulses ahead. Helicoprion accelerates smoothly, effortlessly. It does not need to ram or tear. Instead, it opens its jaw. The spiral comes alive. With a single sweeping motion, the rotating blade slices through the soft bodies. Ink clouds bloom in the water like black smoke drifting upward. What remains of the prey spirals downward in silent ribbons. This predator is not violent in the chaotic way of later marine reptiles. It is efficient, quiet, surgical. Its tooth haul never stops growing. New teeth form at the back of the spiral, pushing older ones forward. In this way, Helicoprion always maintains a razor-sharp cutting edge. But why evolve such a strange structure? Scientists believe the spiral was perfect for slicing soft prey cephalopods, early ammonites, gelatinous swimmers. In a world where armored fish were rarer after the Devonian extinction, specialization paid off. Helicoprion ruled for an astonishing length of time, nearly 20 million years, surviving through changing climates and shifting oceans. Its lineage represents one of evolution's greatest artistic experiments. But even the greatest designs cannot endure forever. As the Permian period drew to a close, a catastrophe loomed, the largest mass extinction event in Earth's history. Volcanoes darkened the skies, oceans acidified, temperatures soared. Up to 95% of marine species would vanish. Helicoprion was among them. Its spiral teeth, once tools of elegant hunting, became fossils curled eternally in stone, mysterious signatures of a lost design. Yet in the quiet of these ancient seas, before the world-ending chaos arrived, Helicoprion swam gracefully beneath the waves, carving its story into the soft-bodied prey that drifted through the Permian twilight. A masterpiece of evolution, a tidal titan, a hunter defined not by terror, but by geometry. Chapter 10: Predators of the Open Ocean. Early ichthyosaurs. To drift beyond the Permian extinction, the greatest biological collapse in Earth's history, is to enter a world emptied of its former giants. The oceans, once rich with sharks, ammonites, sea scorpions, and bizarre cartilaginous predators, now rest under a heavy silence. Up to 95% of marine species have vanished. The water feels spacious, eerie, almost hollow, as though the sea itself is grieving. But evolution, though wounded, is far from finished. When destruction clears the stage, new actors inevitably appear. And in the early Triassic, around 248 million years ago, one particular lineage takes a bold step, literally trading the land for the open ocean. These pioneers would become the ichthyosaurs, the first great marine reptiles. Unlike sharks or placoderms, ichthyosaurs were not fish. They came from early terrestrial reptiles, creatures that once walked across scorched deserts and fern-covered plains. But as competition and opportunity shifted, some ventured into the shallows to hunt. Over millions of years, generation by generation, they drifted deeper, swam longer, and breathed easier in the water than on land. Eventually, they abandoned the shoreline completely. Their bodies began to transform. Their limbs reshaped into broad, paddle-like flippers. Their tails lengthened and stiffened into crescent-shaped blades. Their snouts grew more elongated, lined with conical teeth ideal for gripping fish. Their eyes grew enormous, some of the largest eyes in the entire history of life. These eyes were not merely large. They were adaptations to darkness, to the deep, twilight zones, where sunlight fades into eternal blue. Early ichthyosaurs roamed where other predators could not. Imagine drifting through an early Triassic ocean. The world is still recovering. Coral structures are sparse. Fish populations slowly regrow, exploring spaces left empty by extinction. Then you see it, a sleek silhouette cutting through the water with surprising speed. A creature 3 or 4 meters long, shaped almost like a dolphin but with reptilian grace. An early ichthyosaur, it glides effortlessly, propelled by side-to-side sweeps of its powerful tail. Its skin is smooth, hydrodynamic. Its flippers press against the water like polished blades. It breathes air, but dives for long stretches, exploring depths few animals dare enter. It moves like a whisper. It hunts like a dream. Schools of ray-finned fish scatter as it approaches. With a sudden burst of speed far more explosive than any fish of its time, the ichthyosaur launches forward, jaws snapping around a fleeing swimmer. A spray of shimmering scales drifts behind it like underwater stardust. This is a new kind of predator. Not armored like Dunkleosteus. Not serpentine like Helicoprion. Not experimental like early sharks. But streamlined, optimized, and efficient, the product of millions of years of land-to-sea evolution. Early ichthyosaurs varied greatly in form. Some were long-bodied like serpents. Others were compact and powerful. But their evolutionary trajectory pointed consistently toward one design: speed. Their bones thickened to counter buoyancy. Their vertebrae narrowed to enhance flexibility. Their bodies adopted a fusiform shape, the same shape modern dolphins and tuna use today. Evolution, working in isolation across millions of years, had stumbled upon a timeless blueprint, the perfect shape for moving through water. And with this shape came power. Ichthyosaurs began exploring deeper waters, diving, chasing, migrating, reproducing in the open ocean. Unlike sea turtles or early marine reptiles, ichthyosaurs gave live birth, one of the few reptile groups ever to do so consistently. Fossils reveal embryos curled inside mothers who died during labor, preserved for eternity. This adaptation freed them from the need to return to land, making them fully marine in every aspect of life. The early Triassic seas belonged to them, but their rise also marked the beginning of something greater: the rebirth of marine ecosystems. As ichthyosaurs flourished, prey diversified, coral algae symbiosis returned, and food chains rebuilt. The ocean became a theater once more, full of movement and promise. Still, shadows remained. Earth was unstable. Extinction had left scars. And new predators, new innovations would soon challenge the ichthyosaurs for dominance. But for now, drifting through a warm, recovering ocean, they reign with elegance rather than fear. The age of reptiles has begun. Chapter 11. The Triassic Revolution. After the Great Dying. The Triassic period is a world reborn. Life crawls out of the ashes of the Permian apocalypse, reshaping land and sea with equal urgency. On land, the first dinosaurs stretch their limbs cautiously beneath strange red skies. Early mammals scurry through underbrush. Amphibians reclaim swamps. But in the oceans, in those vast blue theaters of rebirth, an even more dramatic transformation is underway. Drift with me into these waters. Roughly 240 million years ago, the surface is bright and warm, heated by a recovering sun. Nearshore environments bustle with ray-finned fish, ammonites, and small sharks exploring new ecological niches. Algae and corals return slowly, forming thin reefs that promise future grandeur. But the most dramatic innovations occur not near the surface, but in the zones just below, where light begins to dim, and predators sculpt themselves in silence. Here, ichthyosaurs evolve into new forms. Some grow to lengths of 10 meters. Others become slender deep divers. Some develop massive eyes, suitable for hunting in black water. Yet ichthyosaurs are no longer alone. The Triassic seas have birthed a new lineage of marine reptiles. Early sauropterygians, ancestors of the majestic plesiosaurs that will one day dominate Jurassic seas. Picture one of these early forms, small, lizard-like bodies with paddle-shaped limbs. They are not yet the long-necked titans with iconic silhouettes. Instead, they glide near the sea floor, picking off crustaceans and small fish. They are quiet, cautious, experimental. Evolution is still sketching them. Some sauropterygians develop elongated teeth for gripping slippery prey. Others flatten their bodies for bottom walking. Still, others broaden their ribs to increase buoyancy. These are the prototypes of a future masterpiece. Above them, larger predators roam the open waters. Ichthyosaurs have become apex hunters in many regions, feeding on ammonites, fish, and other reptiles. Their sleek bodies allow them to traverse vast distances, creating migratory patterns that bind the oceans in new rhythms. But competition is rising. Sharks sharpen their designs. Cephalopods diversify into fast-swimming forms. Ammonites evolve thicker shells. Plankton bloom in patterns unseen since prehistoric times. The Triassic Ocean is alive with experimentation. Every creature is adapting, forming strange limbs, unusual teeth, new methods of movement. The extinction that nearly erased life now fuels a creative frenzy. Nature, in its resilience, seems determined to fill every empty space. Let us drift through a Triassic reef, shallow but vibrant. Small bony fish shimmer in shifting schools. Their new fin designs allow rapid turns, making them harder to catch. A group of tiny nothosaurs, early sauropterygians, swim gracefully above patches of coral, using long necks to probe crevices for prey. Deeper down, ichthyosaurs patrol like silent sentinels. One glides past, its eye large and glossy, reflecting the faint light like a polished gemstone. You sense intelligence in that eye, a hunter's focus, a survivor's awareness. Further still, in murkier waters, sharks practice ambush techniques perfected over 150 million years of evolution. Some species evolve crushing teeth for hard-shelled prey. Others adopt needle-like teeth for slippery fish. Everywhere you look, something is changing. Something is being invented. The Triassic Ocean is not a quiet place. It is a forge, a workshop, a dream space filled with prototypes. And from these prototypes will emerge the great marine reptiles of the Jurassic and Cretaceous, the plesiosaurs, the mosasaurs, the pliosaurs. But first, evolution must refine its early sketches. And that story begins now. Chapter 12. Birth of the Future Giants. Before plesiosaurs and mosasaurs. By the late Triassic, the oceans hum with potential. The scars of extinction have healed. Food chains are complex again. Reefs pulse with color and movement. New predators rise. New prey evolves defenses. The seas sparkle with diversity that hints at wonders yet to come. And at the heart of this decades-long symphony of adaptation lies an extraordinary chapter. the birth of the giants of the future. Let's drift into a warm, shallow sea about 220 million years ago. Here, early sauropterygians continue their slow transformation. The small, cautious forms of earlier Triassic times are evolving, stretching, flattening, elongating. Some develop longer necks, each vertebra adding reach for hunting small fish. Some grow broader bodies, allowing greater buoyancy for slow, controlled gliding. Some widen their paddles, perfecting underwater flight. These creatures are on the path toward becoming plesiosaurs, the iconic marine reptiles with bodies like turtles and necks like serpentine cranes. Imagine one of these transitional forms moving beneath you. Its neck stretches forward in a gentle curve, probing the water with delicate precision. Its limbs paddle with serene rhythm, each movement smooth and confident. It is not fast, but it does not need to be. Its entire design is built around stability, reach, and maneuverability. Nearby, an early nothosaur surfaces for a breath. It arches its long body, shimmering in the late Triassic sun, then slips back under, hunting for crustaceans in the reef shadows. These are the rehearsals before the grand performance of the Jurassic oceans. But plesiosaurs are only one side of the story. Drift further out into deeper waters away from the safety of the coast, and you encounter another lineage preparing for greatness, the mosasaur ancestors. They are still small at this stage, lizard-like swimmers with elongated bodies and tapering skulls. Their limbs are becoming more paddle-like. Their tails lengthen. They hunt smaller prey with quick snaps of their jaws. These animals are not yet the colossal mosasaurs of the Cretaceous, but every bone in their evolving bodies hints at what is to come. The powerful tail strokes, the double-hinged jaws, the serpentine swimming style, that will one day dominate ancient seas. The late Triassic is a time of transition. The old world of early sharks and placoderms is long gone. The new world, the world of marine reptiles, is beginning to take shape. Yet even now, competition is fierce. Ichthyosaurs still rule the open ocean. Some species reach lengths of 15 meters, rivaling later whales. Their sleek bodies cut through the water like silver arrows. They are fast, intelligent, and relentless. Sharks lurk everywhere, filling mid-level predator roles. Some evolve crushing teeth to break the shells of Ammonites. Others become specialists in ambush, waiting among reefs for the perfect strike. Ammonites continue to drift in vast numbers, their spiraled shells reflecting pale rainbows. Their patterns diversify into thousands of species, each one a jeweled piece of natural engineering. The oceans are alive with music again, but beneath this beauty lies tension. Change is coming, big change. At the end of the Triassic, volcanic activity will surge again. Carbon dioxide will rise. Temperatures will climb. Another extinction waits, smaller than the Permian's, but still devastating. Yet, unlike the Devonian collapse, this new extinction will not erase the dominant marine reptiles. It will refine them, and from the survivors will emerge the true titans of the seas. The long-necked plesiosaurs, the ferocious pliosaurs, the serpentine mosasaurs, and the massive ichthyosaurs of the Jurassic deep. But all of those stories belong to a later age. Here, at the end of our prehistoric journey before dinosaurs, we stand in the birthplace of giants, an ocean filled with prototypes, experiments, dreams of evolution awaiting their final form. These creatures, fragile yet determined, are the architects of the future oceans. They are the ancestors of legends. This is where the great marine empires truly begin.